Thank you so much for joining the Dr. Whisperer podcast show. I am your host, Sharon Feckety, and you are here to listen to others talk about the business of medicine. Don't forget to subscribe, share it with somebody else that is in the business of medicine so we can all learn together. Thank you for being here and enjoy the show. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the show or welcome to the show. And if you are a newbie, hit that subscribe button. Tell somebody. Don't you want to help somebody learn how to navigate through business in the medical world? I would think so, considering all the conversations I get to have on a daily basis. And with that, we have the one, the only, Bryan, with SRA831B. You don't know the name? Well, you will after this show. I sound like a game show host, right?
Yeah, that was impressive, Sharon. I liked it.
Thank you. I'm trying new things just to keep myself entertained.
I love it.
So nothing makes me happier than having conversations with people that I understand are actually trying to help. My doctors, my dentist, my warriors in the wellness world. And I know that this company, and you will hear the commercial in the mid-roll about SRA831. That's how much I believe in y'all, that there's commercials. So listen to the commercial and listen to Ed right now, who's going to talk with us today about how we can help you. So welcome back to the show, Ed.
Sharon, I'm happy to be here.
Ed.
No, I'm excited. I hope I can live up to that intro. That was pretty impressive.
Thank you. Don't expect that next time. I might not have that much energy.
One and done.
I'm always better early in the day, but the poor person who I have to interview at 4. So, Ed, I could go on about how beneficial the work that you do is, but I want to just summarize for those that have not listened to our first interview together of exactly what your company is. And then I want to jump into how referral partners could really, they could really be a resource for the people that they're trying to help if we would all come together. All right, Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, so what we do is we help small to mid-sized business owners, in this case, obviously medical professionals, doctors, physicians, surgeons, dentists, etc., right, take advantage of a tax code that's been around since the mid-'80s, and it's essentially a way to self-insure and set aside pre-tax dollars or tax advantage dollars to self-insure for risks that fall outside of your traditional insurance. We know in the medical space that there is no shortage of risk. The industry, unfortunately, with the litigious nature of the industry, and doctors, even if they do nothing wrong, they're at risk almost every time they interact with a patient. Sure. And so traditional insurance only has so much appetite to cover these types of risks. And so out of necessity, most medical professionals are already self-insuring. Now, what we're saying is, let us show you a way that's more efficient and gives you some of the tax advantages that you deserve for self-insuring for these types of risks. Things like brand protection, dispute resolution, supply chain interruption, all things that could threaten your business or your practice that you're already just, a lot of doctors, a lot of medical professionals think they're just the cost of doing business. But there's this tax code that's been around, like I said, for almost 40 years that says, hey, let's help you set aside tax deferred dollars for these risks, and then be able to, if something happens, address those risks with those pre-tax dollars. That's what we do.
It's a beautiful summary. You do it so well. And those fancy words you're throwing out with litigious, what else is going to happen today? I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So I texted somebody, a doctor of mine, a good friend who moved back to Kentucky recently. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and he's with this new group. So now I just text them. I'm like, you gotta hit up SRA.
Right.
And he's like, Sharon, I don't want to talk to anybody that, is going to try to sell me something. And I'm like, hi, have you met me? What are you talking about? I'm not going to send you somebody that I don't think can help you. And I know that you don't know about it. And whether it's your accountant or your financial advisor, we need a team of people to help these docs that are really, really missing out on this opportunity, doc surgeons. So let's jump in. But before, I don't want to forget this too. For all of you that have to listen to me talk about my 2 sponsors, I only have 2 for a reason. I have 2 at a time because I only want ones that are going to help my docs with their finances. I can't help you with that. You have to pay me. But I have these wonderful resources. And the other resource that I have is doc-to-doc lending. Like, doctors need money. Ed, I'm just trying to be practical here.
No, it's true. No, I mean, they do. They need access to cash. I don't doubt that.
We need more cash. And some of these doctors can't get loans because somebody, I don't know, maybe their mother-in-law that was the bookkeeper for the company. I don't know. I'm making this up. Maybe I'm not. Maybe this is a real story. Has damaged their credit so much that they can't get a commercial, and doc-to-doc can help them with their personal loan. And SRA831B admin can help them with this. You know, just getting this email the other day from this dentist talking about how she's gone into helping other people because she had to become a consultant now because she lost her practice through COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a real problem, Ed. So let's help everybody today. Let's talk about some of these great referral sources that you currently work with that we can educate them on how, like, let's start with the accountants. The
Sure.
accountants that you currently know and that send business your way, how are they specifically helping?
Sure.
Let's start there.
Well, let's go back just one step. You said a word, educate, right?
Yes.
We're educators first and foremost. We don't sell, right? We're not really in this to sell something to a doctor or to a physician or to their advisor. What we want to do is we want to educate them and say, hey, this is a tool that's in a toolbox. You might be able to take advantage of it. If it fits, great. If not, now you're aware, right? That's really what we want to do. We want to elevate the knowledge level in the medical space of some of these tools that are available to them that I can promise you big business, the hospital networks, banks, financial institutions, they're all using this. They're all self-insuring. And there's a way to do it on the smaller practice level as well. So to your point, what happens is very rarely, I wouldn't say very rarely, but more often than not, a CPA that has figured out how to leverage this tool really sees their book of business grow within the medical space. And I'll give you an example. I had a CPA who had one surgeon. He was a cardiologist, right? And he was a surgeon and he very successful practice owner, and had a few things go on in his practice through COVID that made him really step back and say, I'm not as bulletproof as I think. My business is potentially at risk. And so he said, well, hey, let's take a look at an 831B plan, right? Let's take a look at micro-captive insurance. And what happened was his CPA already had an existing relationship with us, and he brought this client to us and set up a plan, and he set aside some funds into it every year. And he's told me repeatedly when I see him, I just sleep better at night. This surgeon does, because I know I have this tax deferred risk mitigation strategy over here that if my traditional insurance falls short or I find myself in a cash crunch, I can access those dollars to help me address those risks. Well, what happened was that surgeon told another surgeon and then told another surgeon about the CPA. And so what has happened is now this CPA has probably 8 to 10 surgeon clients that
I hope you're getting a nice little gift basket.
Exactly right.
Okay, throwing that out there for the CPA if he's listening.
Right.
To you.
To that point, right? That CPA, he's grown that book of business, and we all know this. You know this. Financial advisors, CPAs, etc. They want to work with business owners. They want to work with surgeons and doctors and medical professionals. And so what happened is the word got out that he knew 831B plans. And next thing you know, everybody in town's calling him saying, hey, tell me about what's going on here. And it elevates you because truthfully, 831B plans are enterprise level solutions. Google, Nike, Apple, right? Amazon, Verizon, they all do these things. And so when you can bring a tool like that to a surgeon or to a doctor or a dentist and say, hey, you remember what happened during COVID? I can help you mitigate that risk by using tax deferred dollars. It's a pretty powerful conversation. And so obviously it opens you up to an entirely different book of clientele.
There's this great book. It's called Never Eat Alone. And the book is all about how basically you need a guy. Okay. Or for us women, I need a chick that's got all of the resources. And when this CPA becomes the guy, You are absolutely right. Those doctors are going to tell their doctors who are going to tell their doctors. Wasn't there a commercial like that years ago? Maybe I'm
Yes.
aging myself
No, you're
here.
right. You're right.
What was it? Who cares?
Yeah.
Calgon or Head and Shoulders? Not really sure. But both of them are products that I don't want to endorse today.
Right. No, but you're right, and that's what happens. And we've
Yeah.
seen it. So, I've got a CPA group in the Southeast that the word has gotten out that they know 831B plans, and they've got a bunch of dentists and orthodontists and oral surgeons that are starting to come to them. And so it's a powerful way to elevate yourself as far as a referral source, as far as the solutions you bring to your medical professionals, and it's a win across the board. So you're doing what's best for your client, right? You're helping them save dollars, mitigate taxes, mitigate risk, and at the same time, you're opening yourself up to an entirely new clientele base.
Oh, you just made me think of something. Okay, so here we go, people. Let's talk now about employee health benefit companies. So I have seen many employee health benefit companies go from saying, we're only here to do employee health benefits. And then they're an HR consultant and they're selling Calgon. I'm kidding. I digress. They're doing a lot more things, but really and truly the employee health benefits and being a resource to bring on a company like yours to give more value to these large groups because these groups are already pissed off because we're talking about employee health insurance.
Exactly.
So how can we save you money, right? While we're screwing you with the insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
That is really the truth. Like, let's make them feel good by giving them this resource because their premiums have gone up so much and your employees are going to have to pay so much more for the health insurance. Let's find some of that money back. And that's when I think about SRA831, that is what I think about. I'm going to have to spend money here. I need some money over here. That is a real safe haven for me. So do you work with a lot of insurance brokers?
We do. And it's funny, you kind of tripped my trigger with this employee health benefits thing. A couple of weeks ago, I was meeting with a large client. They do employee health benefits, but they're also a third-party administrator. They TPA, right, health plans. And they sat down and said, hey, you know what? We actually want to start referring our larger groups to you. To your point, right? We're doing their benefits, and there's a cost obviously with that, but we're trying to save them money any way we can and help them mitigate risk. And so we want to refer them to you so that they can set aside dollars for that rainy day, right? If they have a bad underwriting year, if they're setting money aside every year and they have a bad underwriting year once every 4 or 5 years, well, we know they have the dollars to weather that storm. So we are seeing an appetite or an uptick in the market, right, to look at these types of alternative risk financing mechanisms. And so absolutely, a lot of health brokers, property and casualty insurance brokers, we don't, all I have to say is the word Florida, and you look at what's going on. I know, Sharon, that would be near and dear to your heart.
Woo!
What's going on with
what do they say when they hear Florida? Let's really talk about it.
You know what traditional insurance carriers say? No, thank you.
Right.
That more and more. And so once again, if you've got a practice, right, or if you work with business owners or doctors in Florida, Louisiana, South Texas, right, the Midwest, or even California, traditional insurance is becoming harder and harder to acquire. And so you're finding larger gaps in those traditional coverages. And so as a broker, someone that is providing insurance solutions to a practice owner, this would be a powerful tool to come in and say, hey, I know we don't have coverage, or hey, our premiums went up. Let's set aside some deductibles on a tax advantage basis in case we have a wildfire or a hurricane or a tornado or a hailstorm, right? So once again, these doctors are already self-insuring this risk. I'll share an example with you. In Texas, maybe last year or the year before, there were some ice storms that shut down some practices for like
crazy.
A week.
You just said Texas and ice storm, right? Crazy.
Right. And I mean, who would have thought, right? Well, all of a sudden an office is shut down for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, traditional insurance didn't cover the loss of income because there was no damage to the office building, right? So there's no property coverage, but they had 2 weeks of lost income. So they had an 831B plan that practice owner was able to file a claim and pull pre-tax dollars back into his business. So instead of his revenue being up and then down and up and down, you look at his balance sheet and it's level. That's really what we're trying to do. And so as someone that works with medical professionals, to be able to bring this tool in and at least make your doctors aware of it, it's pretty
You look
powerful.
like a damn rock star.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Well, I mean, I love nothing more than looking like a rock star. That's why I like to know Ed.
Right.
So here's the other thing, right? We didn't think that in New York just recently, I was going to get calls from my brother that he had to put on his mask again because the sky looked like it blew up, right? Who knew that there would be some forest fire in Canada and people would have to close their businesses in New York for a few days?
Right.
That means loss of cash, right? So how are you going to recoup that? What if you had to stay closed for an entire month? You really have to think about these things. Every doctor listening or watching knows that your traditional insurance only goes so far. Your malpractice only goes so far. So there's real risks that can actually keep you up at night. You know that. I know that. I've watched you stressed out the next day from all of these insurance issues. Well, SRA831B admin helps you mitigate these risks and lower your tax liability by putting money into a vehicle that is tax advantage to self-insure risks that fall out of your traditional property and casualty insurance. I would not have them as a sponsor if I did not believe 100% that they can actually help you. So to find out more information, please check out the website that is in the show notes. Contact them today. I promise you won't regret it. This podcast is sponsored by Doc2Doc, the personal lending platform designed for doctors by doctors. Doc2Doc believes that traditional lenders overestimate the risk of lending money to doctors, focusing too much on challenges of their financial past and giving them insufficient credit for the promise of their financial future. Yeah, we love what Doc2Doc is doing within our community. That is for sure. And we encourage you to visit their website at doc2doclending.com. Learn more about them today. So let's talk about some more of these other vendors or referral partners or corporate partners, whatever we want to call them, good buddies. We got financial advisors, accountants, financial wealth advisors.
Sure.
My friend Ethan that I just mentioned to you, I texted him about your company not too long ago because he helps negotiate salaries for physicians in large groups. And I really do think that we have this conversation all the time about how your relationships in the business of medicine are so important. And your opportunity, like my doctors call me and ask me what restaurant to go to.
Right. Yeah.
I am the go-to.
I love it.
What spa should I go to, Sharon? Well, have you been to the Wyndham Grand in Clearwater Beach? It was built by a doctor. His name is Dr. K. Patel. But really, like that makes me very valuable to my clients.
Right.
And you want to be that go-to. So do you work with a lot of financial advisors? Because
we do.
And I want to include this before you answer me.
Sure.
Because when financial advisors see me coming and they know I work with doctors, they get very excited. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
And I want to run away. That's the truth. Like that's my first, they know that I have some friends that are financial advisors because I don't need you. I already have one. But
right.
Yes, my doctors do, but you just want to pick my brain. Like how many times could Sharon hear, can I pick your brain? I'd like to charge you for that brain picking.
Right.
But these financial advisors really need additional leveraging power, I feel like, because these physicians want, I know this because I used to run the practices, they want nothing to do with y'all. So you have this wonderful tool for them to make them stand out and separate themselves from everybody else. Exactly. Get me some of those financial advisors, Ed. I will tell them about you guys.
I will. So to your point, you hit on it. These physicians, these medical professionals, they in general don't want to deal with financial advisors.
It's true. I know it.
And sometimes, and you know this, sometimes it's a lack of understanding or, medical school does a great job turning out doctors, but does it teach them how to manage their money? Does it teach them how to manage their practice? And I'm seeing,
Mm-hmm.
And so, one of my best friends, as I mentioned, he's a surgeon down in the Phoenix metro area. And he told me when he got out of school, he's like, look, I know how to do all of these things, but I don't know the first thing about managing my practice. And he said, I sure as heck don't know what to do with my money.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, unfortunately, I think some of these doctors, they get burned once or twice, or, somebody promises them something that sounds too good to be true. And then they put their arms up and say, okay, I'm just going to ignore it, right? Or they put their head in the ground. So, but what has happened and what we found is that financial advisors that bring this tool to their medical professional, whether it's doctors, oral surgeons, you name it, it becomes a way for them to say, hey, we're different, right? And this is a benefit to you. And it's something you're not going to see everywhere. So it's a differentiator. Mm-hmm. And once again, that story I told about the CPA, I've seen that happen time and time again with the financial advisor. They have one or two medical professionals, surgeons that are clients. And the next thing you know, the next year they bring us 10 or 12 more, and then it's 15. And next thing you know, they're managing assets for 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 doctors. And this was really kind of the linchpin for them. Mm-hmm. And so it gives them the ability also to manage additional assets. We always say, financial advisors very rarely get all of the dollars from their clients, from their high net worth clients. And a lot of times the dollars that go into an 831B plan are dollars they weren't managing before. Well, we allow them to manage those dollars. So it increases their asset under management, and yet they're bringing something to the client and doing right by that doctor. And then it just increases the trust, and then they become their go-to. And so it is really a differentiator. We work with a lot of financial advisors. They're not your average, on the corner, just a basic, hey, let's do 401k. These are the thing we found as well. These are the best of the best. Mm-hmm. If, we do a symposium every year. A little plug for
you got
that.
One coming up.
We do. Mm-hmm. We do at the end of July, first part of August. But we bring advisors, CPAs, property and casualty brokers from all over the country in. And then you look around the room and they're like, yes, these are the types of people I want to be associated with, because they're not the cookie cutter. They're the ones that are bringing innovative alternative solutions to their clients. And it's very powerful to see that. And then they go back out, and when they sit down with a doctor, the doctor's like, okay, you're different, right? You actually care. You're going to help me. These are benefits to me. So it's really cool to see that relationship. I get to sit down a lot of times in those meetings. I'll go into a market and sit down with a financial advisor and a doctor. And, it's interesting. The doctor will have their guard up. They're okay. It's skeptical, right? And then next thing you know, within 5 or 10 minutes, like, okay, well, how quick can we get this done?
Right.
Okay, because all we have to do is say, hey, what happened during COVID? Or, have you been sued? What's your malpractice insurance look like? Yeah. Have you had an issue with business partners? And it's like, well, there's a way to set aside dollars for those types of things. And so it's really cool to see the relationship strengthen.
That's a great question to ask. One of the first should be, have you had any problems with your business partner?
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
You know. And
Lord.
It's a way to say, hey, set this thing up for a rainy day, so that I'm not going to say when, but I'm going to say if something happens with a business partner.
Or when.
Or when. You've got a bucket of cash over here that can give you more options. And as you know, the more options that any business owner has, the better decisions they can make.
Ooh, okay. Two things I want to say.
Sure.
When we get on, it makes me want to scream. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, the two things. One thing, funny interlude. The reason that I say 831 and I don't say 831 is because the Tampa area code is 813.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
so I want to make this clear to you, Ed.
Sure.
That when cutting commercials for your amazing company, I said 813 95 times.
I bet you did.
So there's my funny interlude.
Love it.
But I'll never say it wrong again, because they'll get me mad to make mistakes on commercials. Number two is, I feel all of the financial advisors that I know are coming to my mind, and I just want to send them all to you. Is that something that you would want? Do you want?
Absolutely. We are, Sharon, here's the thing. We're always.
Tell me the thing. Because I'm going to ask you why. Because all of the financial advisors, remember, they see me coming and they're like, "Ooh, I'm going to invite her to an event." And they don't want to hang out with me, Ed. Right. They want doctors. I'm not a dum-dum. I wasn't born yesterday. But, I want to be able to help them, because sometimes I feel like, the doctors are so scared of you. They don't understand what you're talking about. So let's give them some back.
Yeah.
What am I saying? Some back? What the hell was that? Anyway, God.
No, I was going to say, we love to talk with financial advisors. And the thing is this, and here, you know this, there's only a certain subset that is going to get or kind of grasp an idea. Because
Yeah.
once again, what we've seen historically is they're more sophisticated. They're already working with high net worth individuals
Hmm.
for a way to differentiate themselves. It's no different
Right.
than a doctor, right? Like, what makes you different? Right. And so you've got to just continually be upping your game and getting better and better and offering more innovative types of ideas. And so that's what we've seen. And once again, this is a tool that not every financial advisor has in their toolkit. And so what happens is, they might a doctor might interview 3 or 4 or 5 financial advisors, but really what's going to happen, and you hit it on the head earlier, a surgeon who he golfs with or she golfs with is going to say, hey, I've got a financial advisor who helped me set up an 831B plan, and it let me do XYZ. You should really talk to them. That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so it elevates them. And next thing they know, they're getting phone calls from doctors that they don't even know. And inevitably, they bring the assets over from their other types of investments. And it's just a great way for them to grow their book. So yeah, we love to talk to, we work with those types of referral sources because we want to leverage their relationships, obviously, and help them differentiate themselves.
So I want to tell you about another group of people that really love to see me coming. And again, they want me to come to all their events, but they don't want to hang with me. They want my doctors. And that's fine. I'm totally used to being used the last 10 years of business. It's okay with me. And I like going to events sometimes if it's within my 5-mile radius. So banks.
Yeah.
So I have more banks. I just had lunch with them at the country club. Because I don't golf, but I tell them I eat.
Sure.
So I don't want to go golfing with you, but I do want to meet with you. And then they tell me that they have a very specialized plan for doctors. And I go, oh, really? You? Only this bank? Well, because there's like so many banks that have specialized programs for their doctors. So do you work with banks, and do you work well with banks? And I want to know too about pushback from people that are intimidated by what you're selling.
Good question. So we do work with banks, and we work very well with banks. Some of our largest referral sources are banks, because to your point, once again, banks are looking at ways to differentiate themselves with their business owner clients. And so if they can say, hey, let's host an event, let's do a Zoom, let's do a webinar, we'll come to market, do a lunch and learn, and you bring in a bunch of business owners, doctors, surgeons, whatever, it's different, right, than what they get down the street. And so we absolutely work with banks all over the country.
If you were a girl right now, I would say, girl,
yep.
I'm going to send you some banks.
Yep.
Banks, I love the banks that want to help my doctors, because really it is the absolute only reason that I have the only sponsors I have are people that can help them with some money.
Right.
Because I know that is it's very difficult, I have so much empathy for my doctors and my friends that really don't understand how much they need and how much they need to put aside for casualty events that always happen. And they sometimes will make, I'm thinking of one in particular, a very impulsive decision that it's going to cost them a lot of money. Yes. And then they realize that they can't get that loan or they can't get that line of credit because they need y'all. We need to make a song together, Ed.
Let's do it. So that's the thing, to your point though, as well, Sharon, is that these types of vehicles become ways to execute some long-term planning strategies. There's the ability to loan yourself back a certain percentage of the assets, right? So instead of having to go to a bank, you can turn around and say, I'm going to take a loan out of my 831B plan, or I'm going to declare a dividend. So it becomes a tool for these business owners. It's a mitigation of risk up front with tax advantages attached to it. But down the road, these things become very critical pieces of long-term planning strategies and an efficient way to access cash for these doctors. So to your point, it's just there are a lot of layers of benefits to these plans.
Yeah, there are. Y'all need to call Ed. So I'm thinking about all these TikTok songs while we're talking that you could come up with. There needs to be some kind of a jingle, because I realize what the outside world too thinks of the physicians, and then they don't have a real understanding about how difficult it is, especially when it comes to insurance plans.
Sure.
And everybody thinking that they're making a killing off of the surgery that they just did. That's why I sent you to my orthopedic surgeon, because just because there's a charge of $9,000 doesn't actually mean that's what's going to get reimbursed.
No.
Right. So there's so much, it just feels like such an uphill battle sometimes. And that's why a lot of younger generations now are rethinking what they're going to do. But if we educate them from the get in the way that you're doing it and I'm doing it, we're on a video, we're in a podcast, somebody can listen, there's some social media, because more people need to understand that in order to have a successful business of any kind, but especially in medicine, you need this for your business. You need SRA831. Look, I did it.
There we go. You nailed it.
That's and every time I dance, I know it's going to end up as my thumbnail. So thank you, Alyssa, for that. And what else can we do to help these? I was thinking about associations, and maybe this is a conversation for us offline, but there are so many associations within the medical industry, Paycom being one of them, which I'm going to make sure that you know who they are. And that's the Physicians Association of who the hell knows. That's not what it's called, everybody. But that's what I believe when it comes to acronyms. But, this is a group of administrators that really help their physicians thrive, whether it's hiring, marketing, social media, and it's big. It's a national group. And I spoke for that conference a few years ago, and I just reconnected with them because, the pandemic, we didn't do a lot of those keynote speeches together. But more than ever, I really believe that these associations have a lot of opportunity to join forces with your organization, because ultimately their goal is to help their members. And if you really want to help their members, and them being them doctors, them surgeons, we need your company to be a part of. So what types of associations are you currently affiliated with, if any?
Yeah, we work with a lot of dental, oral surgeon associations. We have some physicians associations as well, but we're always, once again, open to expanding those relationships and becoming a tool that they can leverage or put in front of, or a solution that they can put in front of their doctors. More than happy to do that. We've seen some success. Actually, we've seen success all over the country with that. So it's a very, once again, it's a solution that not every association is going to put in front of their medical professionals. And so it differentiates them. That's, once again, a reason, hey, be part of this one instead of that one. Yeah. Real quick, want to go back, Sharon. You talked about pushback, right, on people.
Yes.
We've said the word a bunch. I know, or probably people are tired of hearing it. Education, lack of understanding. It's unique enough that a lot of financial advisors, CPAs, especially medical professionals, have never heard of it.
Right.
So they think it's a big business tool because historically it has been. But for the last 8 to 10, 12 years, it's slowly made its way into the small to mid-sized market. And there's this misconception that, well, you can't apply it in medicine. Well, I would argue that you absolutely can apply it in medicine. And I would tell you, we've seen the most growth in probably the last 5 to 7 years within the medical industry because of all of the types of risks we've talked about, right? All of the liabilities that are sitting out there, and doctors are getting smarter. To your point, credit to you, to other consultants, practice coaches. And so they're realizing, hey, we need to get a team together, or I need a team of trusted advisors that can leverage these solutions for me. So.
No, you are 100% right. And I really do hope one day that you will be able to send some of this education to the medical schools.
Yes.
With me as well. It's very difficult to have these conversations in the medical schools because Ed and I, contrary to popular belief, we're not doctors.
Yes.
We have yet to say anything like radiculopathy or anything that ends in opathy.
There we go.
But we can help you grow, maintain, and flourish in business. And I think what you're offering is just vital. And I'm so grateful that you are doing the work that you're doing. I hope everybody listens to the fun commercials and contacts this wonderful company. They really don't. One of the things that I love about your company the most, probably because it's so close to my heart, and I'll say it instead of you, like, you don't give a shit. You're not here to sell anything. Like people are the people that want the help and know that they need it are going to ask for it. You don't need to sell this. This product already works.
Yes. No, you're right. That's it. We're educators first and foremost.
Yeah. Keep on educating there, Ed. We'll come up with a jingle together for the next interview.
Let's do it.
Bye.
Thanks.
Don't forget to mitigate risk. Visit 831b.com for more information. Remember to check out Doc to Doc, the personal lending platform designed for doctors by doctors.